Yeah, he's telling me 1 minute. Good evening. Welcome to the December 10th edition of the Derry Cooperative School District School Board meeting. So we got some special visitors here tonight from Grinnell that will lead us in the pledge. Do we have Michael online? What's that? Okay, thank you. Just give it a second.
Michael, do you have audio now? You can hear us, correct? But we cannot hear you. Okay.
Really?
He can hear us.
All right, we'll move on. We got a quorum here in person. So I will accept a motion to approve the public minutes from November 25th.
First.
First by Jonathan.
Second.
Second by Jason. All in favor?
Recording in progress.
Aye.
Aye.
We have to do a roll call vote.
He's not voting.
Oh, he's not. Oh, sorry.
He's
Aye.
not. All right, so motion passes 4-0. We'll approve the non-public minutes from November 25th.
So moved.
First by Jonathan. Second by Jen. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. All right, next up, we got our Grinnell presentation and volunteer recognition.
Good. Yes, it is.
Hi, everyone. Our volunteer of the year is Heather Rondo. Heather saw a need last spring when we were down to one secretary, and she volunteered a lot of her time, to come in and help us out. She also does a lot with PTA on the daily. She works with school store. She's reorganized a lot of the school store product, and she is always there to lend a helping hand. So we appreciate all the hours that Heather puts in to help Grinnell and the kids and the PTA and the staff. So thank you.
And we have a certificate of appreciation, volunteers in education, Heather Rondo, for valued service at Grinnell Elementary School. Thank you so much for that.
I have it.
everyone. I'm Melissa Lance, the principal at Grinnell, and
I'm Lindsay Moore, the assistant principal at Grinnell.
we're super happy to be here tonight. And as a former math teacher, my heart almost exploded when staff came to me and said, a great presentation would be about math. And they said they had a bunch of kids that were excited to talk about math.
And we just want to say that we are so proud of all of the work our fourth grade mathematicians have done. We are very proud of you. They are very excited to share their learning with you, and we know that they're the ones that you want to hear from. So we're going to turn it over to our staff and students.
I'll try not to talk too much. My name is Patty Maloro. I'm the math specialist at Grinnell, and we are here tonight to talk to you about the math focus block in grade 4. So during Math Focus, students are engaged in critical thinking activities from their point of origin. We began the year by administering a universal screener for number sense to all the students in the school. Actually, all the students in the district were given this screener, which was quite an undertaking. This gave us an opportunity to sit with each and every Grinnell student. It was a cooperative effort with Title I and some other support staff, and it's an interview-based screener, so you sit one-on-one and ask them questions, which is a wonderful opportunity because you can imagine that those interviews are very insightful, they're very fun to do, it gives you lots of great information about how kids think, and we are measuring number sense, their concepts of number, and some developmental milestones as well. We are able to see the kids making sense of math. We're able to see their level of ease with the questions and their level of discomfort at times. And the questions involve major topics of instruction, place value, numbers and counting, concepts of operations, fractions, and problem solving. I did bring you some copies of some of the scripts just so you might have a chance to take a look at the types of questions that they're asked, but here are some of the questions the fourth graders were asked. We ask them to start counting at 995, and we tell them when to stop. And we're looking to see if they can cross the decade. So they get to 999 and know that it's 1,000. You might not realize that that's a developmental skill, but it is. We ask the kids, we had 6 cards, and they had 3 dots on each. We showed that they had 3 dots, and then we put them face down, and they had to tell us how many dots without looking at them, and you watch. So when you're sitting across from a student and you watch them try and figure this out, it gives you a lot of information about how they see. Maybe they see it as 6 times 3. Other kids might go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, or they might skip count by 3. So those interviews were really fun. It took us a couple of weeks. It was a big undertaking. We're going to be doing it again in January. Next screen. So that screener, there is a universal method as a standardized method for scoring it on a scale of 1 to 3, depending on how the kids answered the questions. We took that data, we formed groups, and that informed our math focus block. And all of these students, these are some representatives from the fourth grade and of the different groups, and they are during that time working on activities that strengthen areas of weakness. They might help work on grade level concepts or even enrich and extend their thinking. So grade 4 has been a huge success, and students and teachers are here to share their perspectives and personal experiences. Next slide. And this is Zoe.
Hi, my name is Zoe. I'm in 4th grade at Grinnell Elementary School. In Math Focus, I like how we all learn together and we go over stuff that we don't understand. I also like how we just jump right into the work. Instead, we go over the work and not go straight into it. Next, I like Math Focus because I think it's fun to learn math in all different ways. In my opinion, I think Math Focus is the best part about my day. Math Focus is a time to share our ideas and our thinking. This is why I like Math Focus.
Hello, my name is PJ. I'm in 4th grade at Grinnell Elementary School. For Math Focus, we do different activities each day. On Monday, we solve word problems. On Tuesdays, we write in our writing journals. On Wednesdays, we work with the mystery partner to solve problems. On Thursdays, we work with fractions. And on Fridays, we play math games. My favorite part about Math Focus is when we work with the mystery partner. Thank you.
I'm going to read this first. So in our day, we, if you want to go back to that other slide, the focus one. So just like PJ said, we change our tactics on what we're going to target. We were given a spreadsheet to begin the year with, and the teachers are able to look at the students and work on different skills, learning targets that they need, and we focus on those skills in our groups. So each group is leveled so that it's at their level that they're working at, and we've seen a lot of success. So next slide. And on here, the teachers are given tools to use so that we can extend their thinking and that mental math process. So we have a lot of tools that we can use, plus we have, stuff that we might have in the classroom, but the websites that we go on here are just phenomenal to really extend the thinking, and the kids love using them, as you'll see in a few minutes. All right.
PJ, you're up.
Sometimes we do something called a 3-act task. First, we get all of our supplies, whiteboard, marker, and eraser. We watch the first video without talking. We write down what we notice or wonder. Then, we talk about it. Then we watch the second video, and there is a question we have to answer. We work together to predict an answer. We watch the third one to see if our prediction is correct. After, we complete a page that compares our predictions to the solution. Thank you.
In this activity, we're grouping together oranges to find out how many there were in all. Some people grouped them by 2s or 5s and 1s. I was circling them in groups of 4s. I counted by 4s to find the total, 20 orange slices.
Hi, my name is Aurora, and I am in 4th grade at Grinnell Elementary School. I like when we work in partners doing Math Focus so that we can help each other. I like doing multiplication because it is easy and fun. One thing I have learned during Math Focus is how to use arrays to multiply. Math Focus is really fun and the best part of my day. In this picture, we are using the number line. We are practicing using expanded form on the number line. I'm working with a partner. We use the spinner to find one number. We spin the spinner to find the next number. We use the number line to find out how far apart the numbers are from each other.
Hi, my name is Jeremiah. I am in 4th grade at Grinnell Elementary School. My favorite part about Math Focus is when we all count together. We start at a number and then count by 2s or 10s or 4s. We make a list of numbers and then we look for problems, partners, patterns. We are playing through the stairs. Somebody rolls the dice. We put the number on the steps. Wherever we want. We have to make sure we put the number in order from least to greatest. If we do not have an open spot, we have to throw away the number. Whoever fills the stairs first wins.
So this is just one of the pictures of the classes that we were doing using number lines and again spinners.
Hi, my name is Trinity, and I'm in 4th grade at Grinnell Elementary School. In Math Focus, I like when we do fun games on Fridays and Wednesdays. If we don't understand something, we go over it until we understand. I love how we do Math Focus in an interesting way. I also like how we do fractions, but in a fun way. I like how we do the easy stuff and then the hard stuff. In Math Focus, we're all smart and kind.
This is about the picture, in this picture.
In this picture, we are working with a partner to create equations for a certain number. We can use addition, subtraction, or even multiplication. We only have 5 minutes to come up with as many as we can.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Godbout. I'm one of the 4th grade teachers at Grinnell, and I think our students did a marvelous job explaining exactly what Math Focus was. I'm so very proud of you, but we thought it'd be even better if we showed it in action. So here is a video of...
It didn't show on the thing.
Oh,
We're gonna have to...
Okay,
right,
well,
sorry.
we had a video, but we'll send you a video of it in action.
In Math Focus, we all grow together.
Very good, you guys. Awesome.
Wait here, they might have a question, okay? Wait here. Does anybody have any questions for our budding mathematicians?
I don't have any questions. I just want to say thank you for coming here, because it's so wonderful to hear about what's going on in Math Focus in 4th grade. It's not easy to come up here and speak in front of a bunch of people. It's really difficult and tricky sometimes, and even grown-ups have a really hard time doing it. So you guys were all super brave, and I really appreciate you telling me more about how Math Focus works at Grinnell. So thank you for coming.
Everybody did a great job. It's not easy to get up here in front of all these people in the audience and those of us up here, but you guys all spoke up and we could understand you. I want to thank the staff for coming here tonight and what you do with the kids all the time, every single day. Yes, math can be fun. And I hear kids tell me when I go visit the schools, math isn't a problem. It's just a puzzle, and I heard that, and I keep that, and I spread it around all the time, and it's a lot of fun. We all like to solve things and figure things out, right? Well, you guys are doing a great job, and give yourselves a round of applause. You did a fantastic job tonight.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Do we have Michael on yet?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, good.
There we go.
All right. All right, moving on. We have delegation individuals. You come up for the 3 minutes. Give your name and address for the record.
Well, good evening. Richard Tripp, 44 Wyndham Road. You know what I like most about 4th graders? Is this is the year that they get to come up to the State House and have the tour. Does anybody know when you guys are coming up?
We are going in May?
May?
8th, I think?
May 8th.
Not positive, but it's definitely May and it's booked.
Well, hopefully, House will be in session so that you can see that we do work hard. I know a lot of people think that we just sit around and drink coffee, but that's not entirely true. We do a lot of things. We listen to a lot of people talk. It's almost like being at a school board meeting, and that we get to talk and vote too. So, like I said, I'll try and be sure to be at the State House when the Grinnell people come up. Thank you.
Good evening, Brian Churchello, 6 Rollins Street. Had a couple of quick questions. Number one, was able to look at the enrollment numbers. Am I correct in seeing that those numbers have gone down? Like 130 over the last 3 months? Can you tell me if that's true?
We don't answer questions in the middle of delegations.
You don't answer questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's been a long-standing policy.
All right. And usually I watch these on TV, so, but I had to come tonight because I watched the budget meeting that you all had. And it was very fascinating because Jenna Paradise had mentioned that, or suggested that you break up the bond. And I thought that was interesting coming from somebody who has the complete opposite political spectrum that I'm on. As a matter of fact, Katie DeLay had also said that she thought the bond should be split. And Mr. Chairman, you had mentioned that, and I don't have the exact words, but you said, I don't think if we split the bond, I don't think we're going to get the bond the following year. As a matter of fact, I know we're not going to get the bond the next year. So can you please clarify that? Because that bothered me. For you to say that the people in town would not support another bond if you split that, because that to me is redlining, scaring people to vote a certain way. So you may not have to answer this tonight, but I would like an answer on that because it made me come out tonight. I don't appreciate that.
Good evening, Michael Aon, 84 Sinead Road. Sitting up here this evening, I am dismayed over the censure of Katie DeLay. The majority on this board, you've created a power for yourself that's not vested in you by the state of New Hampshire. It was never given to you. I'll get to it, but you've also ignored, you can laugh, you all have also ignored RSAs to bully members of this board. Let me read, since you read the definition of a censure last time, definition of bullying here from a review that I'd be happy to share if the board would like to see this. Bullying is a systemic abuse of power and is defined as aggressive behavior or intentional harm doing by peers that is carried out repeatedly and involves an imbalance of power, either actual or perceived, between the victim and the bully. I'm going to go on. There's certainly more of that, but I think to put this into perspective, bullying is found in all societies, including modern hunter-gatherer societies and ancient civilizations. It is considered an evolutionary adaptation, the purpose of which is to gain high status and dominance, get access to resources, secure survival, reduce stress, and allow for more mating opportunities. It's from the review. Hopefully that last part doesn't apply to the school board, but I think having a working definition of what bullying is important. The majority of this school board, the superintendent, have created a hostile working environment for the school board. You can't get stuff done. Bullies are often cowards whose insecurity manifests itself in behaviors to ostracize others, intimidate them, and make it unpleasurable, if not impossible, to do their work. Bullies are not team players. They make terrible leaders. One of the reasons, if you read this paper, if you talk with any veterans, if you talk with someone who's gone to the U.S. Military Academy, any of the prominent business schools in the United States, words that are exclusive to bullies, but inclusive for good leaders: integrity, self-awareness, courage, respect, compassion, resilience, learning ability, and flexibility. I watched this last week and come to find out the board, literally, I expect you guys to be good leaders, and ladies, be good leaders. You discipline in private. You reward, you praise in public. That's not what happened. You already had Ms. DeLay's resignation letter before the meeting. It was put in bold. You made a mockery of the censure of a power you didn't have. At the same time, you asked Mr. Henry not to take part in this. That actually violates RSA 194.23, high school student as a school board member. You can read the whole RSA. They have every power of a regular school board member regarding the school board business except the right to vote. Excluding him from that, you're violating an RSA. It's pretty funny. This school board spends significant time trying to make fun of state reps who do a lot of work. You blame others. That's another characteristic of bullies. I think what the school board can do, I have two things here that you can rectify this, and I will leave this with you. What happened to my second page here? Okay, I can tell you, I didn't know where this went on here. Two things you can do. One, I think you owe Mr. Henry a written and public apology for violating this RSA. The second thing I would do, since things that haven't been censured include a superintendent physically assaulting a teacher, wait to hire the next superintendent until the next school board, which is going to significantly change this. Thank you.
All right, guess we'll move on. So next we have Commander Isaac Miller, recognizing students for the Patriot Pen essay.
Good evening, gentle people. And I'm Brian Selling. I'm the commander of Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 1617 here in Derry, and we appreciate the opportunity to come before you. Thank you for your service to the community. As a math teacher for 23 years in Massachusetts, I also appreciate what the wonderful work that folks in Grinnell are doing. It's a heavy lift. I'd like to introduce Isaac Miller. He is the chairman of the VFW Post 1617 Scholarship Committee. We have some award recipients we'd like to recognize this evening.
I'd like to first say thank you for inviting me here tonight, or allowing me to be here tonight, I should say. Three things I'm going to talk about tonight. Number one, Patriots Pen. Number two, Voice of Democracy. And number three, the Teachers Award, our Teacher of the Year for this year. And you've heard this most of this before, but I'd like to reiterate the rules and also the themes for 24-25, because they change every year, and that's the best thing about this program is we have something different every year to offer, but with the same amount of cash flow. Hopefully increases next year, and we'll see about that. But first of all, Patriots Pen. Patriots Pen is an essay, 300 to 400 word essay geared for students in 6th through 8th grade. This year we had 5 students submit essays for the VFW, and only 5, and they were all 8th grade, which means one and done. If we had more competition from 6th graders, 7th graders, they could practice 1 year, come back if they didn't do well, and do it again and again. And I'd like to see this program grow, and so that we have a competitive edge against other communities. The theme for this year's competition is My Voice in America's Democracy. My Voice in America's Democracy. That is going to be relevant when our speaker tonight, when you hear her speech and see how well she puts this together. But what I'd like to do next is, well, let me mention prizes for this competition. There are prizes offered at every level, the post level, the district level, the department level, which is state, and the national level. And not only at the national level do they award a prize of $5,000 for this competition, they also fly that contestant or participant to the national convention with a chaperone. So great opportunity for that person to speak. And if you've never heard it, it is fantastic to have that person speak in the floor in front of thousands and hundreds of thousands of VFW members. It's a great competition. But going forward, our contestants from Derry will be awarded, all contestants will be awarded on Loyalty Day. We have special awards for each contestant. And that'll be on May 3rd at 1 p.m. at our VFW. And they will all receive invitations and then invited to be there for that day. And I'd like to see some of you there for that, because it's a wonderful day to see not only these participants, but also our public servants and our community leaders that we'd like to, that Brian here, as this year's commander, he's taken the realm from me after 3 years of commander. I'm now a district commander, so step up. And Brian will be district commander next, so no, I'm kidding. But anyway, without further ado, I'd like to mention or bring forward, first of all, our third place, and third place only because two others had nice essays also. But Elizabeth Rose Ireland is our third place contestant. It's your floor. No, sure? Yes. Don't be bashful. Okay. Any questions from the board?
Just want to say, first of all, thank you for taking the time. You know, you get things in this life when you put some effort in. So you need to be thankful for this third place finish, and we appreciate you taking the time to write the essay and be part of this program. And I will wish you good luck for the rest of this year as well as moving forward at Pinkerton. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Second place for this year, 8th grade also, Jack Giannetti.
Thank you all for having me.
Microphone.
Thank you all for having me.
Any questions for Jack?
Why did you put an essay in?
I was introduced to it by my social studies teacher, Miss Owens, and I thought it was a really good opportunity to put some work in. I saw the reward. I just really wanted to put in some work and do as best as I could to come as high up as I could in the standings.
Oh, that's outstanding. Congratulations and thank you for participating. Well done.
Thank you.
Our first place contestant, Mike Hott. Our first place contestant, Gabriella Strobel Kozic, and Gabby, she like to be called. Not only to introduce Gabby to everyone, but also to hear her essay being first place. The floor is yours.
Here we go. My voice in America's democracy. Have you ever wanted more control over your school day? Wondered if you could speak up about something you think should change? Sometimes we complain about not being able to do the things we like and feel we don't have a choice. In reality, we can speak up and have a say in what we do. Just like our adults in our society have a voice in America's democracy, I believe students should have a voice in our education by being able to have input into how we spend our days at school. My voice in America's democracy is about speaking up to suggest positive change and improve our school day. During morning meeting, students are expected to stand in a tight circle and answer a daily question. Students may prefer to stay seated and share more freely. They may feel more comfortable sharing their thoughts without having to say too much. Although morning meeting is focused on making every child feel they belong, being in a tight circle looking at the entire class can be overwhelming. Kids who are self-conscious feel the most uncomfortable because everyone is watching them. Partners or small group sharing and time built in for general socialization make more sense. By changing the morning meeting format, we can make kids feel more optimistic about school. Students should express their feelings to create an intervention schedule that suits their needs. They should be encouraged to set their own goals and work towards meeting them. Students should be free to get the advice and support they need from teachers in other classrooms. Although teachers want kids to be using Inventum during intervention, sometimes that is not always the best choice. Some might be behind on their work and need to get caught up but have after-school activities. We could resume working on Inventum in silent reading, but give students the option to also work towards their goals. Some wish to spend time outside, which could also be incorporated into this routine at the end of the week. This allows a break before the weekend as a reward for all their hard work. Changing the intervention schedule would aid students' learning. In summary, students should have a voice in changing the format of intervention and morning meeting. This will improve social, emotional, and academic learning. My voice in America's democracy means speaking up to improve our school day by making positive changes.
Are there any questions for Gabby?
Great job, Gabby. What would you say to next year's 8th graders about why they should get involved in this?
I think they should get involved in it because it's a really great experience. They can put in a lot of hard work into making an essay, and if they do really well, they have a chance to do some great things.
Well, congratulations to you. Congratulations to all 3 participants. We've got some young leaders who are starting to establish themselves, and we think it's fantastic. Well done.
Thank you.
Gabby, I have a question for you. Gabby, question for you. If you had known about this in 6th grade, would you have attempted to write an essay?
Definitely.
Thank you. I'd definitely like the 8th grade participants to stick around for the next session, which is the Voice of Democracy I'd like to speak about. Ryan? The next phase is Voice of Democracy. The theme for this year, actually, before, let me talk a little more about Patriots Pen, because I'd like to have a round of applause for Gabby once again. Her essay placed 3rd in our district also. So. For the Voice of Democracy for 24-25, the theme is America Today our forefathers' vision? Is America Today our forefathers' vision? This competition is for 9th through 12th grade. 9th through 12th grade. We received 1 essay. I think we can do better. This is a competition for all high school students, and the national prize is $30,000. Actually, I'm mistaken. $35,000. So, of course, with prizes from the Post, District, Department, which is state, and national levels. Again, the national winner goes forward to participate to the National Convention in Columbus, Ohio next year, and round-trip expenses covered by the VFW. This is what we do as veterans. We support this program 100%. We had a total of 5 entries, I think, in the entire district. All the schools. I think we need to work on this program a little better. Not only does the participant write the essay, but they also have to speak on a drive. So we have to listen to the voice recording. It's a voice essay. We listen to the voice recording and judge the content, not only content, but also their voice, how they present themselves. And we had to work with Eve a little bit. But our contestant, not only did her essay win at the Post level, she is also first place in the district for District 6. She will be recognized in Concord in January with a banquet with her and her family, and she will be amongst all the district winners in Concord, and then they'll decide who is the first to lead New Hampshire to go to Washington, D.C. Because all contestants who win the department contest are invited to Washington, D.C. for a week first, before they decide who goes to Columbus, Ohio in July. So it's a great competition. And all 9th and 12th graders, if we could get the word out to other schools. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce Eve Clock, our first place contestant and first place in District 6.
Is America Today our forefathers' vision? From plastic-coated brochures boasting bold statements in Americans' mailboxes to strongly worded advertisements blaring across every screen, the battle between political parties is best seen in election years. America's 2 brawling parties, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, do anything possible to degrade, discredit, and generally speak ill of the other. This high-tension, divided atmosphere of today does not reflect the unity envisioned by our forefathers, and despite their warning, America has instead become polarized by the modern 2-party political system. To begin, the forefathers of America labored for a nation of unity governed by a varied, healthy discourse from all in our democratic republic, not solely to extreme factions. In fact, they spoke outright about the dangers of political parties, and many of the founding fathers feared the power of party affiliations to generate conflict within young America. In his farewell address, George Washington cautioned, "The alternate domination of one faction over another, sharpened by the spirit of revenge, is itself a frightful despotism," continuing on to say that it is the interest and duty of a wise people to discourage and restrain it. However, despite his warning, our nation today is governed by political parties fighting for dominion, each trying to disparage the other rather than promote a variety of ideas. As said by Abraham Lincoln in the era leading up to the Civil War, a time of great political division between North and South, a house divided against itself cannot stand. Both Washington and Lincoln, forefathers of our modern nation, spoke clearly about the dangers of political division and the rifts it causes within a people. They envisioned America to be free of political polarization, striving for unity and respectful political discourse instead of hatred between groups. Furthermore, the political system of America has become increasingly divided in ideology since our nation's declared independence in 1776. Over the course of America, people have often drifted towards opposing political views, and while there have been times of great divide that rapidly expanded the rifts between these factions, such as the Civil War, today this hatred between liberals and conservatives has become deeper than ever before. From 1994 to 2014 alone, the number of Democrats that view the Republican Party as very unfavorable and a threat to the nation's well-being jumped from 16% to 38%. However, despite these charges given to break and control the violence of faction, as penned by essayist and founding father James Madison, America today experiences great violence from political divides like the January 6th U.S. Capitol attack in 2021, when tensions and contempt between Democrats and Republicans reached a peak surrounding the presidency. This growing polarization characterizes a nation ruled by factions, contrasting the vision of America held by our forefathers. Alternatively, founding father Thomas Jefferson advocated for the creation of the Democratic Republicans, sometimes known simply as Republicans, as opposition to the Federalist Party in early America, seeming to distinctly oppose our forefathers' vision of unity. These two political parties emerged over a debate regarding the scale and involvement of government. However, they did not aim to divide the nation, but rather to provide necessary but still largely peaceful political discourse. In his inaugural address in 1801, Jefferson noted that every difference of opinion is not a difference of principle. We have called by different names brethren of the same principle. We are all Republicans, we are all Federalists. Jefferson highlights that these first political parties were not meant to divide, but rather provide different opinions and insights on political issues. Both were still united under the principle of democracy despite these differences of opinion. Therefore, Jefferson advocated that peace could be maintained between two political parties, and great polarization and conflict were unnecessary and not continuous with America's founding vision. In conclusion, the two-party political system of America today greatly contradicts our forefathers' vision of unity. Since the founding of our nation, political parties have been warned against, and discourse between a variety of viewpoints has been encouraged. Today, our political parties are divided by extreme values and growing hatred that often cause tension, leading to conflict between Americans. However, if conscious of the political system's flaws and warnings from our forefathers, as well as intentionally inclusive of a spectrum of political views, the rift between these factions could be lessened and greater unity could be brought to our nation.
Questions for Eve?
So what's your favorite subject?
Definitely history.
Say that again?
Definitely history.
Well, it shows. That was fantastic. What are you going to do moving forward?
I plan to go to college and major in history and minor in art history, so.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations for the for number one for participating, number two for the wins, and good luck in January. Keep going, all right, and good luck moving forward.
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time.
We're still teachers. What a wonderful presentation that was. Well, the students' motivation is not the only thing that we award here. We also award those that assist us with these achievements. First, I want to award, I saw Eric Werner in the audience, and he is a previous award, and he's also one that I go to help. Thank you, Eric. Eric is a Legionnaire in the American Legion. He also supports us with the oratorical contest for the American Legion. But without further ado, the teachers that helped this year for our Patriot Spin competition in the 8th grade at Hood Middle School, Laura Owens, number one, who was our Teacher of the Year last year, and this year's Teacher of the Year, recommended by Laura Owens, is Rich Salcido. Please come forward, please.
No. I would just like to say thank you to everybody, my students, everybody who's here, my former students, they're here. And thank you all for being, part of the school board. I watch you every week, and I applaud you for your leadership in the Derry School District and in the town. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
questions?
A longtime teacher,
Yes.
exceptional teacher at Gilbert H. Hood Middle School. How long? He used to have hair way back then.
This is true, yes. Down here.
He was there before I came in 2004, and he is still there today. And when I see him on my visits and I talk to him, he's in for the long haul. So
Yeah.
that's fantastic for you as well as for our students. And we appreciate what you've done with so many things, the stock market game and doing these things for the Patriots pen and so forth. And I hope you keep it up, and I hope you got plenty of time left in you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Salcido.
Thank you very much.
How can we do better recruiting? How can we do better recruiting?
What's that?
How can we do better recruiting for this?
I think the social studies department needs to kind of talk more about it and get more involved, and I'll bring it up at the next, we'll start with the 7th and 8th grade and then trickle down into West Running Brook into the 6th grade. So hopefully I'll have a better recruitment next year.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank
Thanks
you.
again.
The teacher who goes forward from our district will also be welcomed at the National Convention in Columbus, Ohio next year. That's all I have. Are there any questions for me about any of these three programs?
I just want to say thank you. You guys have been doing this for a long time, and we appreciate it. And I think having Eric involved, and then Lara Owens, and now Rich Salcido, I think it's starting to catch on a little bit more. And I know when Rich says that he will promote it at the social studies meeting, I know that Lara will be there as well. And we look for even more participants next year. Maybe a little clip of showing some of this in a social studies class when you suggest this next year, and when you hear things like $35,000 and those type of things, there might be some incentive. So even extra incentive. So thank you both for what you do, and we appreciate your service.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent.
All right, next we have the STEM update with Kim and STEM teachers.
Okay, so while they make their way up here, can you hear me? So Project Lead the Way is going to present tonight. The teachers are going to present. Project Lead the Way is a national recognized program. It brings transformative learning experiences to our classroom. It involves science, technology, engineering, and math. Project Lead the Way engages the students in learning environments that foster collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking. All of this is done through hands-on projects and real-world problem solving. This program really aligns with our district commitment to prepare students for an evolving future by cultivating innovation and resilience. So because this program was new to us this year, there was a conference that they could get professional development, and so that they could go and learn how to incorporate Project Lead the Way and STEM into our schools and to teach it better. So I will turn it over to our STEM teachers.
Hi, my name is Kristen Kitts. I'm the elementary STEM teacher at East Area Memorial School.
Beth Curran, I'm the STEM teacher at Barca.
Mary Watson, I'm the STEM teacher at West Running Brook Intermediate School.
Hi, I'm Dr. Napolitano, and I am at Grinnell teaching STEM this year.
I'm Jess Wasserman, the STEM teacher at South Range.
So as some of you may know, STEM is a new unified arts at the elementary and at West that replaces computers. The district adopted a curriculum called PLTW, which stands for Project Lead the Way. A little background on Project Lead the Way. It is a project-based STEM curriculum. It follows the engineering design process as well as the scientific inquiry process. Most are aware, but STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. The students follow a step-by-step process. They start by asking a question, exploring a topic, building a model, evaluating that model, and then explaining their findings. The program uses a lot of transferable skills, such as creativity, problem solving, critical thinking. All of the Project Lead the Way curriculum is aligned to Common Core and next generation science standards, and it's very engaging and hands-on, so the kids have a lot of fun with it. We wanted to share a little bit about what's going on in the classroom, the elementary classroom. As you can see, we have quite a few different projects going on. I wanted to share with you a little about the grade level projects they're working on currently. Our kindergartners are working, learning about the design process, and they will be designing and building a model of a new and improved paintbrush. Our first graders are going to be building a model of a shelter in the woods that uses designs inspired by nature to stay camouflaged. Grade 2 will be designing and building a model of a container that will help keep popsicles from melting during a soccer game. That's the scenario they're working on. Grade 3 is, they are working on weather and weather hazards, so they'll be designing something that will protect newly planted seedlings from an impending flood. And finally, our fourth grade at the elementary level will be building a model of a prosthetic for an injured animal.
Thanks. Is this working? We're good? Okay. So we spent 3 days in California, in San Diego. We are incredibly appreciative of everybody on the district level who worked to get the grant that allowed us to go to this training. It was without a doubt the most meaningful training I've ever been to in my entire life. The most I've been able to apply immediately to my classroom of any training I've ever been in. We started every day with a general session. We had some absolutely amazing speakers who came in for that. And then we were able to pick breakout sessions to go to from there. So the session I wanted to talk about was about embracing productive struggle. As somebody who works with middle school students, I often see that frustration come in for them. And they sometimes do not have the tools necessary to be able to work through that frustration. So I loved this quote. I love failing. Nobody. I feel proud when I figure out a tough problem. Most students. So productive struggle is using that prior knowledge and working your way through a problem successfully. So we start with strategies for before students get stuck in a problem, and a lot of that has to do with setting up a classroom culture where failure is a part of the learning process. I tell my students, from failures, you learn, from success, not so much, which is a quote from Meet the Robinsons. While students are stuck, we work on encouraging them through the process, and then we debrief when they're done to kind of go over those pieces as well. So the benefits of productive struggle are going to be able to lead to deeper learning, but the big thing that is important to me and what really resonated with me for this is that if we can teach our students to get frustrated but not give up, to work through that, and then they can get that success momentum, it will apply to everything they do after they leave our buildings.
All right, so one of the breakout sessions that I went to was talking about infusing literacy with the Project Lead the Way materials. So what is STEM? We kind of went over that already with the science, technology, engineering, and math. Oh, a little too quick, go back. So we're using the problem solving, critical and creative thinking, collaboration, communication, and the ethical reasoning and mindset. So we are using these skills, and we're doing the science standards, we're doing the math standards, and then now you can switch. And then we want to make sure the importance of the ELA strands. Along with the science and the math, we really are doing ELA as well. We're reading books. We're talking about characters. We're talking about real life situations that these characters are in. And we're working on these same strands that they're working on in the ELA classrooms. We're doing the literacy. We're doing the reading, writing, speaking and listening, language. The kids are having to get up in front of each other, in front of their teachers, and they're having to help each other. So it's scary, but they're doing it, and they're doing a good job with it. All right, and then one of the activities we did was we were looking at the reading anchor standards, and we were looking at the science standards, and we went through and we highlighted and looked at, this was an example of they're learning to cite specific textual evidence, and it's in both the ELA and the science. So we practiced that in the breakout session and looking at that.
One of the cool things is we also got to look at the new up-and-coming things that haven't even been released. So we also got to check out the new robotics modules. So we got, I think it was a kit of 2 or 3 parts of all different robots, and we got to be students, and we had to put together a robot and try to program it. So we got to be in the kids' shoes and feel how they feel. We had never built robots before. It was definitely a learning experience, but it was cool to really think like a student, and we thought about a lot of cool ways that we could do this type of thing with our students in the future. Go to the next slide. And as a result of going to this conference, we've been talking a lot about how we can work with these science teachers to make what we do and what they do really complement each other, so that the kids are getting a really good cohesive science experience. And we've been working with Angela Barber to think about K-8, what the kids' science curriculum looks like. That way it really is most beneficial to them and makes the most sense, and they get a really awesome science experience.
One of the breakout sessions that I attended was called Observe, Wonder, Connect, Sense Making with Project Lead the Way Launch, which is the curriculum that we're using. And you might be familiar with a KWL chart where students share what they know about something, what they want to know, and then after the lesson, they share what they've learned. It's similar to that, but it kind of evens the playing field a little bit, where we show either a video, a photograph, bring in actual objects, and it allows for students to not need to have that background information, because they're making observations about what's in front of them and kind of just being asked, what do you wonder? What do you notice? What do you wonder? So they don't have to have had experience with whatever it is that we're introducing to them. And it also allows us a little bit of the freedom to kind of look at what they're interested in and bring that back to what we're moving forward and teaching them. It's just a simple 3-column chart. The example that they used in the breakout session was something I've never heard of. I guess in a national park in Alaska, there's something called Fat Bear Week. So again, we got to feel like the students and observe these images of these bears and share what we observed and things that we were wondering. And then you bring it together with connections that you can make to the lessons that you're going to be teaching. And then this just kind of breaks down how you would bring it to the students. What do you see? What do you observe? What's similar and what's different if you're sharing more than one video or more than one photograph? What are you wondering? What questions do you have? And then you bring it back together with the connection to really start thinking about how this is applying to what we're moving forward and teaching in the STEM class. And then just to reiterate what Mary had said, this training was amazing. We walked away with ideas that we could implement into the classroom right away. And again, just another thank you for everyone who helped allow us to bring STEM to the district and the opportunity to go to the training.
Thank you for sharing tonight, and thank you also. They have put in hours and hours of training that they had to go to before they could actually go to this training to be STEM teachers of Project Lead the Way. So thank you for putting in all the dedicated time over the summer to do that and all the planning that it took. But I think that it's wonderful for our students, and they are benefiting greatly from this program and from you ladies. So thank you.
They're learning a lot of skills.
Don't leave yet. So please don't leave yet. When I go into when I go into your classrooms, there is so much energy and enthusiasm and excitement and engagement. And then the kids come in, and there's that as well. But every time I talk with you out there, you're so excited, you're so pumped up. You've started something new here. You're the trailblazers. You're the lead the way for this project. And I hear it from Kim all the time. I hear it from Joe. And I've heard from you guys about not only this conference, but what you're doing in the classroom. And I know the kids are just loving it. And I can't thank you enough for making this so successful so quickly. So thank you very much for what you do.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, next we have Pinkerton update with Mr. Henry.
All right, so it's not exactly breaking news, but we won our state football championship. First time in 10 years we've won that. So that is 3 fall sports championships we have won. We have won football, girls soccer, and girls cross country. Last week, JROTC received an exceptional rating from, there's an exact wording to it, from the National Air Force JROTC program. They every year they come in to inspect the students, make sure they're following proper procedure, order, things like that when they're at attention. Holiday concerts, there's one tomorrow. The choral and bell concert is at 7 tomorrow at Pinkerton, and the instrumental concert is the 12th, also at 7, also at Pinkerton. Admission is free for both shows. And holiday break will be December 21st to January 1st. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. We got next charter school update, Ms. Kyle.
Okay, so kind of a lot happened since the last time we met. I'm gonna try to boil it down into some main points. We have a new teacher that just started. He's teaching his first class pretty soon here, and we have a lot of new paras, but they're transitioning pretty smoothly. The students just did STAR testing to record their improvement in math. Apparently, we don't have standardized testing or much standardized testing, so we kind of made up for it. Our school also launched a fundraiser to pay for an expansion on our community garden that we just developed last year. We also organized a school store, which was open to students on our progress meeting days and open to parents on exhibition night. We're also going on a whole school field trip in about a week, right before holiday break, and then, we have holiday break.
Can I ask where you guys are going?
So we have 2 choices between bowling and ice skating. It's gonna be fun.
Great, thank you. All right, next we have a facilities update. So, first we have, so let me get to the facilities update from the meeting perspective that we had. There was a day after the budget meeting. So, what I would say is the meeting was opened up with the question, are we still strong at 24 point whatever million it is, or do we want to look at coming down to the 14 million? That was the first discussion we had at the meeting based on the discussion we had at the budget meeting in the facilities meeting. The room was pretty steadfast to continue as we voted on. So I just want to throw that out there. That was the first order of business at our meeting. Next, we really spent the majority of the time at the meeting discussing how we look to educate the community on the project, on the warrant article. You know, a lot of what we talked about was a lot of the things we did last year, obviously, a lot of the PTA meetings. We've talked about, you know, the dedicated website, which we've done a lot of that. Some of the new stuff that we talked about was getting board members involved in making videos at the schools with their families, kind of talking about the work that'll be done, getting us involved in that process as well. I know last year Joe did his videos on the different warrant articles, so that was one thing. We talked about virtual tours, Jeremy and Rob and Jonathan. Do a info page to kind of give the specifics of everything. But the biggest thing, discussion part was, how do we get to people that don't follow school board meetings, don't really engage in that for a variety of reasons. So we talked about many different avenues, from churches, church groups, deep preschools in town, assisted livings, nursing homes, more of a one-on-one discussion, actually not just sending out an email, or actually going to these places and talking to people and kind of walking through what we've done, what we've voted on, and the benefits from that, getting in front of that group. Trying to think, what was the different garden club in town, the track club, all the different areas of town that may not really follow along with what we're doing, and go to the polls and just see a number without any real discussion that's been had over the last several years regarding that. So I believe we've for the committee members, we've kind of allocated our roles in that process in the beginning to reach out to those groups, start that process, and then we'll bring in the rest of the board to fill in the gaps that we have to get involved and be part of that process. But really, I think the focus was really face-to-face interactions, meetings with groups, and really doing more of that. We also talked about, there's a lot of dedicated people in this town that pay attention, that really care about this town, working with them to do word of mouth campaigns, kind of stuff, to get those guys involved. So that was something we talked about as well. Slogans too. There was a whole laundry list of slogans that we talked about. I know we've had some ideas amongst internally in the past, previous facility members and all that. So that's something we talked about as well. But at the end of the day, what we'll do is we'll create, what that process looks like, and ask people on the board when they can fill in the gaps of that, what they can commit to from a time perspective. We've already started that process within Michael, myself, and Jen, and Jane's involved. Jane will do her part as well. I think Joe was involved, Austin. So everyone got a responsibility in the next several weeks to kind of reach out to these organizations and set up, how we can work with them and be part of their meetings or whatever events they have over the next couple months, and give us 10 minutes of their meeting, and we'll go from there. So there's gonna be, I think there's a lot more focus on, like I said, outside of our sphere of influence of people who follow. So so when we have this list that we created, we'll distribute that out to the board and post it. And so I think that's pretty much, I don't think I missed anything. We talked about more, collaboration with the DEA leadership team as well, getting those guys involved and getting some, feedback and opinions from their end as well on how we can do a better job of reaching out. I think that was our first initial crack at it. I think there's a lot to go through and a lot to be done, but that was our first kind of session that we went through that process. Michael, did I miss anything? Or Jen?
No, I don't think so. Okay. I've already started my homework assignment, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
One thing. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. we had talked about the idea of doing the community meetings again and whether or not
Yes.
we thought that was worth it. And I think we wanted to have a discussion as a larger group.
Yeah, that's right. We obviously last year, you guys remember, we did the community meetings really specifically around the new school. I think we had two or three meetings. Obviously, these meetings would be focused around this warrant article. Is that something that you guys think would benefit?
Yeah, I've got a
continue?
couple things. I think we had a pretty good turnout at both meetings last year. I would say that we should do the same thing again this year, with the focus being on the investments that we're looking to make into the buildings. The other piece is around all of the reach out and the meetings and the connects and communicating. When should we anticipate that starting to come together? And then what is our goal with regards to kind of having these discussions in advance? So as it relates to a timeline, right? So if we think about this project plan running in parallel to some of the other things, what are some of the milestones so we can kind of start to work into our schedules, work into calendars, and really start to think forward versus, it kind of coming at us and then we're trying to scramble and people are trying to fill in the blanks and there's availability things. So I think we've got to do a good job of setting, the calendar in the future to say, is it in January? Is it in February? Is it, are we trying to do something before the holidays? Is this, we getting into the new year? So we've kind of talked about these things quite a bit, I think, over the last few meetings. I remember Jonathan asking at the last meeting what the plan was, and I would like to see things start to kind of materialize a little bit more. And I know you guys are doing a ton of work. I 100% get that. I just think we need to really start to finalize some of these, even if it's just one, two, or three, larger scale things. If we're going to do a district meeting at one of the buildings or two of the buildings, that's something we can get on a calendar now. Even if it's in February, let's get it on the calendar now and set a date and start communicating that out. Some of the smaller pieces, we can start to fill in the blanks around that as we have more conversation around the messaging. But we've got to get some of these higher level sort of meetings, discussions, presentations, et cetera, on the books and start to develop what that deck and what that presentation looks like and what the talking points look like. So that would be my ask. You guys know I'm willing to do whatever it takes and to be a part of it. I would just ask that we have some clear direction as to what the expectation is, the timelines, what you need and what you want to do, and then how do we as the rest of the board fill in and help with that.
Yeah, that's a fair ask. And I would say right away, I'll get you guys, Austin just sent me the PTA meetings on the books for January. So I'll send those out to you guys. I should have did it last week. That's my bad. What I would say is, as we reach out to these organizations, that's when the timeline starts to fill in, right? Obviously, we can easily set dates for the community events. That's not really a big deal. But I think when we start to drill down in individual organizations in town, which we've assigned to individual committee members, then you'll see a timeline fill in from that perspective. But at the end of the day, I mean, the vote's in March, right? So between January and February, that's going to be our timeline. We just got to start filling in the blanks of things as they come up. And when people have availability for us to be there and give our presentation or whatnot. So right away, I'll send you out the PTA stuff that we have. We do that every year, regardless whether it's just budget or now warrant articles and whatnot. So I'll get that out to you right away. Do that first thing in the morning. And then as the group does their homework and gets dates from the individual organizations in town, we'll definitely fill that in and get that out to you guys.
Yeah, and Cliff created a draft, I think, that he sent out to you about the infographic and talking points. And we're working on that and looking to get feedback. He's looking to get some specific feedback from you folks, and we gave him some feedback today in SAU leadership about maybe making it a full page with the graphics on one side and then that spreadsheet on the back side, sort of. The talk was people with different, the two different types of brains and what they prefer to look at and so forth. So that's coming along. I am going to mention the PTA meetings specifically during my superintendent report. and we've started to do some of the reach out that we got as far as to Pinkerton Academy and to the town and so forth. So that's coming along.
Thank you. I just, January and February are going to come fast, right? And I think, yeah, a couple weeks. So we've just got to be, we've got to be going hard against it and get something on the calendar and continue to add as we can. But a few avenues for us to communicate broadly need to be out there and happening sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'd echo Jason's sentiments as well. I mean, I think if we come back in the first meeting in January, all of this is laid out, and there's a, hey, this is what's going to go on in the next couple weeks in January and February. I mean, yeah, I have no problem with that. I think the next time we meet is in January as an actual board. So, I think that's a pretty clear expectation.
It sounds like the primary concern is having the community forums nailed down minimally.
It's having a plan for us to bring this to the community outside of these meetings. So I'm willing to do whatever you guys need us to do. I'm willing to support whatever the plan is. But we need to have some sort of plan rolling, right? And not just, this is what we want to do here, this kind of in this month or this month. At this point, in my opinion, we should have something already on the calendar, and there should be some sort of timeline that says at least we're meeting here, and we're getting it out. The holidays, I mean, the next couple of weeks, I don't want to say it's garbage time, but the next 3 weeks, that's it.
I get your point, and I'm sorry it just didn't meet your expectations. We will try to do that moving forward. I apologize. You can blame me for that.
David, this is not a blame game. It's just sense of urgency. I'm not trying to blame anybody. It's just having a sense of urgency collectively as a board.
I assure you, the urgency's there. I assure you. So we'll have everything you need in a timely manner for everyone's expectations to be get involved. I promise you that.
Thank you.
All right, next in the packet, we have the design proposals for the roof designs at South Range, Gilbert H. Hood, and Grinnell. So Jane and Jeremy and their team, they worked with ARM to get these up and running. If you have any specific questions, I'm sure.
Excuse me, we've got Tim Archer, who is the principal from ARM Consultants, and put this design, these designs together. First of all, Tim, thank you so much for taking the time and coming here tonight. He knows these inside out, backwards and forwards, so any questions you have or whatever, he can answer those. So thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. Anybody have any questions or comments?
No, I mean, I think these are pretty straightforward. The one thing I would say is the funding for these projects will come out of the capital reserve. I think Jane mentioned, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
The reserve account that we have. So this is not going to run through operating. Do we need to vote on this tonight? Or
we do.
Okay.
Hey, David, can I jump in?
Yep.
We've had a lot of talk and discussions around roofs over the last couple of years, and things that have popped up and things that thankfully ARM has identified. What I would ask Tim, maybe for the benefit of the folks here, folks in the community, with all the discussion around roofs, give us what ARM does, right? From the company, how they support school districts or large organizations, how you guys manage projects, the benefit of the district hiring you guys to help us manage these roof projects. Folks need to hear that kind of stuff, right? Because we can say it, Jane can say it. West Riding Brook is a great example, but I think if we hear it from the subject matter experts that we hire to do these things, it might be beneficial for everybody to understand the reason why, right? We have a consultant to help us with these things. So if you would be so kind, I don't want to put you on the spot, but.
Yeah, no problem. So we're basically like an architect for roofing specific projects. So one of the things that we do and we strive to do is to figure out exactly what we can do per code to still meet the code, meet the requirements that we have to, keep the buildings dry and safe, but also save some money. So one of the biggest things that we were able to do last year was save a bunch of the existing insulation boards. So we were able to cut the cost of the roofs down significantly. So we're here for not only the design and the code to make sure that things are running the right way, but we also do the project management and we oversee the installation of the roof. So you guys are getting what you're paying for. Right? One of the big things about roofing is not a lot of people know exactly what they're looking at. And once it's done, it's covered up and you'll never see it again. A lot of people believe that the roofing manufacturers will be there to help you because that's who you get your warranties from. But you guys are only going to buy 5 roofs from them when the installers are going to buy 5 roofs a year. So they're more interested in keeping the installer happy than they are keeping the end client happy. So our job is to make sure that you guys are protected, everything goes the right way, and you guys are getting exactly what you pay for, and it will last a lot longer than a standard roof installation. So long and short of it is we're here for protection.
Thank you. So for folks who are listening, right, it's a matter of we have an expectation. They did put out a design set, a drawing. We agree on the drawing. This is what's needed. These guys ensure that what is in the set of drawings actually happens in the project. So it's important, I think, for people to understand, when we talk about consultants, because we've heard it a lot over the years, right? Consultant, but what this does is ensure that the project is executed correctly for our needs based on what we're paying for. So you're doing the job so Jeremy or somebody doesn't have to go up and understand and manage these guys and look at what's happening in each piece that's going up there, so.
Right, and Jeremy doesn't have the background in roofing specifically to be able to go up there and say if something looks right or something's wrong. So we're there to make sure that everything goes right.
It's a trust but verify, and you guys are verifying,
Yeah,
right?
and we provide weekly field reports for everything, so that way everybody can see how things are getting installed, and if there's any problems that arise, we head those off, talk about them, make sure that everyone's on the same page, and then we move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So if I recall, as an example, on the Barker roof, didn't they lay it down the wrong way and they had to pull it up and redo it the right way?
We had a couple of issues with some insulation and some roofing things that were going on there that could have been okay, but it wouldn't have lasted as long for you guys long term. So.
And then the roof drains at West Running Brook, you guys caught that too, right?
Yep, West Running Brook has a couple problems with the roof drains right now that we're getting ready to take care of. Yep.
Is there anything that would be helpful for you to go over with these design proposals to give them an idea of exactly what makes it up?
Sure. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So we always start out with taking a good look at what the building actually does and what's inside the building, because if you have science labs in there that are going to be exhausting certain things, we have to take those into account before we start designing the roof, because different chemicals and different moisture content from the interior of the building will actually affect the roofing. So we take a good hard look at kind of what's there in real life and what we have to design around. And then we start pulling that apart and going into the building code and seeing what we have to do to meet certain code requirements, and then what we can do to meet the code requirements but not break the budget. There are certain things like saving insulation is a great example. Being able to do vapor barriers in different ways at different points in the roof system will save you money and allow you to do a lot of different things. So having the background to be able to do that through the code is the next step. Then we get all the drawings to get, first we present to the school and we say, this is what we want to do, this is about what the budget's going to be, and here's why. And then if there's something that's going on in the school specifically that we need to relook at, that's when we start talking about it and we can redesign what we need to. Then we represent the school in putting it out to bid to different roofing contractors, and we kind of get all the numbers together, present who has the lowest numbers, actual numbers. So if there's a lot of add deduct type things, like if you have a lot of deck replacement or other things, certain roofing contractors will kind of bid low and then try to get you on the extras. So we level all those out beforehand. We actually assign unit prices to all those items. So that way everybody's bidding apples to apples, and we can present actually what the real budget numbers will be, and we can make a recommendation as to who the roofer should be. And then once the project's awarded and it starts being installed, that's when we start doing the project management side. And that's all covered in those proposals.
Is there any other questions from the board? Michael, you all set? You got any questions?
Oh, I'm all set. I mean, we went through this during the facilities committee meeting, and I think that this is necessary. We want to get these plans set and ready to go so that when the bond passes, we have these projects, ready to put into motion.
Okay. Anything else? All right, I would accept a motion to accept these 3 design projects.
So moved.
First by Jason,
Second?
second by Jonathan. With Michael being online, we'll do a roll call vote. You got Jason?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion passes 5-0.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time, Tim. Have a
Appreciate
good
it.
night. Appreciate it.
So we got the student safety presentation by Mrs. Carpentino.
All right, well, while Kim Carpentino makes her way up, I just want to say thanks to Kim for coming down and speaking to us again. I know she was here not too long ago, as hopefully board members remember and members of the public. Kim has transferred to this new role this year. She's got a pretty extensive background in behavior as a behavior specialist, and many years that I won't say how many, that's not polite, but we've asked Kim to come tonight to present specifically around some bullying data. So part of the grant that we wrote to fund Kim's position was aimed at developing a better understanding of bullying behaviors in our district. Collecting data appropriately is a big part of it, which has been a real big chunk of Kim's initial work, and then analyzing that data and understanding it. So, and then taking action. So that's why we've asked Kim here today. She may talk about other things, but that's the general gist of it. I'll turn it over to Kim.
Thank you. Pardon my jacket because I am freezing. I sat back there for a long time without it on, but I'm freezing. Thank you for the opportunity again to speak to you about students and behavior. We hope to shed some light on some data that we've collected over the years, and also ways that we can work with students to minimize some maybe negative comments that are made, and also help them to display more kindness towards one another. So, going into just the beginning of my presentation, every year the principals have to report to the state through a reporting system called our safety data report that we have to give to the state every year. So we always have to report our behavior numbers, mostly around bullying, harassment, and other kinds of behaviors. So that's where the data is that you have. So I prepared that sheet for you that you got in your packets earlier that gives you the data across a number of years, starting from 2021 and moving up through 2023-24. Those are full, complete years of data and bullying information off of all of the schools' reports that they reported at the end of each year. That's reportable we have to report by June 30th. Currently, I also then put on the top of that document that I gave you some current information. So what I'm going to start with in my presentation is just factors that impact this data. So some factors that impact the data is just making sure that everybody has a common understanding of the definition of bullying. And that actually can be found in your policy JICK. And when principals are looking at bullying behaviors and investigating bullying reports, they have to really decide if it's a single significant incident or if it's a pattern of behavior from a student. So there's a lot of investigation that goes into making those determinations as to whether something's going to be substantiated as bullying or not. So sometimes, people people say mean things sometimes, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bullying event. As administrators, we do have to substantiate that report. And the other thing that impacts this data is there are many times over the years of being a principal, both at East Erie and at Gilbert H. Hood Middle School, that I've had parents talk to me and say, we didn't want to report that. We didn't want to tell you. And so things have happened in the past that we wouldn't have been able to collect data on because we weren't notified of things. And although I understand it's a family decision, and I understand that there's a lot of thinking that goes into, if we tell the school and the school does something, will the behaviors get worse? Which is really a common thought of people. If I tell the school and the school addresses the behavior, my child could have more behaviors occur towards them. I don't love that thought, but it is a thought that people have, and so we have to make sure that we're trying to work with people on that so that we can shift it, because if we don't address the behaviors, we are losing the ability or the opportunity to help children change those behaviors. So that also impacts how accurate the data is, because we might not have known. The other thing is just calibrating the collection of data so that we know that we're getting the same information from all schools at all levels. So that is another thing that we're working on. So the current year's data states that we have had 9 reported incidents of bullying so far this year, but only 7 of them were substantiated. 9 reports of bullying, 7 substantiated. Of those 7, 0 were cyberbullying to this point of the year. And the last time I looked at the data was on November 26, 2024, right before Thanksgiving. Of that information for those bullying events, 1 was for race, color, or national origin. 1 was a physical characteristic, something that happened due to somebody's physical characteristics, that somebody was not being nice to them. And 5 were for other reasons. So it could be a new number of other reasons, but they get labeled into other reasons if we don't have a specific way to label it under what the state asks us to define it as. So that is this current year. So when we look at just comparing it to what we had last year, so that I have on your prep sheet, but I also have it on this presentation, we've had last year in 23-24, we had 49 reports of bullying across the district. 19 of them were substantiated. 4 of those 19 were cyberbullying events. And these are the reasons why we substantiated, or the reasons why we could target what that bullying was about. 3 of them were for race, color, national origin. 1 was due to somebody's disability. 4 were for physical characteristics, and 7 were in that other category. So that was last school year. And I added 1 more school year to this presentation. I didn't go back as far as I did on the school board's paperwork. In 2022-23, there were 51, I wrote up here, I wrote 51 reports of bullying incidents in 22-23. 25 of them were substantiated across the schools. 8 of those were cyberbullying. 4 of those were due to somebody's race, color, or national origin. 0 were for disabilities. 1 was a physical characteristic, and 12 were in that other category. You can see that other category is a pretty lumping category for some things. So that's just the information and the data. Those are the numbers. But when you're really looking at bullying behaviors that could lead to bullying behaviors that we as school officials need to pay attention to are these, I don't want to call them lead-in behaviors, but if students are using offensive language towards other people, if they're name-calling, if they have inappropriate language or gestures, if they're intimidating or threatening, if they're physically aggressive, fighting, or assaultive. Those are the things that we should really be looking at. And some behaviors need to be monitored more frequently. And that is why labeling them properly and recording them is really essential. Right now, I'll talk to you about that in a second. So we need to take note of these things also. Who the behavior is happening to, and are there others joining in that behavior? Because those things make a difference, so we should be thinking through those things. So if somebody's being called names, are there other kids joining? Because we want to pay attention to kind of the whole circumstance, the whole situation, so that we can intervene on that. Right now, we are using, in the PowerSchool system, something called the MBA plugin that can track and graph all of our behaviors that occur in the schools. And right now, all of the schools are using it consistently. So teachers write up behaviors, administrators write up behaviors, so that we can now track a little bit more extensively all of the schools across the board. But with that comes making sure that everybody has a right definition for the behavior. So what are we looking at, and are we going to label that or identify that behavior in what way, so that people aren't calling things different things. We have to make sure that we're really identifying that behavior in some way that we all are coming to a common understanding of what that is. So that takes a lot of conversation. So there's a lot of reading through those and going back and checking with staff on things like that. And by all means, we can't get them all, but we try to get as many as we can between myself and the administrators. So what can schools do and parents do? So the thing about students are, they really are all about negotiating life and discovering how they can negotiate life. And everybody makes mistakes. We make mistakes, kids make mistakes, but they really are just trying to learn through what they're doing in life. So the best circumstance is that kids are trying strategies with their friends and people in school that are positive strategies, and they work and they go, yay, that works, that feels good, I'm gonna keep doing it. That's the best. That's the best thing we can get, or we can ask for. But not so horrible is a student trying a strategy or doing something to somebody that's not so good, and then interventions come into place and they go, yeah, that didn't feel good, I shouldn't do that again. So that's also a learning experience for students. So when it helps them think and learn and grow and understand things that are going on with them. And being in schools, we are supposed to be doing that with kids, is talking to them about, not so good, not a good choice, but yay, that's a great choice, that must have felt good. So you really want them thinking through all of that. So what can schools and parents do to help with this? So schools must always make sure that they are talking to students about being kind and accepting of one another. That has to be a message that's out there all the time in schools. It has been a message over the years that I've been in Derry, for the 20 years I've been here, and we need to make sure we're continuing to do that. We can't lose sight of that. And schools always need to monitor the chatter amongst kids. There's a lot of chatter that happens with children, and we need to listen to it and then investigate it, ask about it, talk about it, find out about a little bit more about it, so that we can be involved and understand maybe there's some circumstances that we weren't aware of, but the chatter amongst kids will give us a lot of information. Also, we always need to make sure that we're addressing problematic behaviors, not turning a blind eye and ignoring it, but doing something to intervene, even if that's just a conversation with that child. A lot of times it is just a conversation with that child, so we're not talking about negative consequences all the time. We're talking about having a conversation as to why that's a good choice and why that's not a good choice. Also, parents can help us by making sure they call the schools to give us information about situations we might not know, because parents are around students all the time. They're around their neighbors and their friends, and they hear kids in their backyard and they hear kids in their house. And sometimes I'm always appreciative when I've got the phone calls from parents to alert me to a circumstance that I didn't know about, that I could then look into and figure out a little bit more, and then show kids that we understand and we can intervene on things like that we hear. We don't always know everything that happens all the time, but parents sometimes know, and it's good when we get those phone calls. Also, for parents to understand that schools are doing the best to combat these negative behaviors, but sometimes we just need a little time, and sometimes we don't always know what they are, so help with that is great. And so what can SAU staff do, school administrators do, and the school board do. We must continue to be dedicated to like the collection system that we have. Like collecting the data and having a consistent collection system is key and essential. If we don't continue to have some kind of a Power School MBA plugin or some way to record incidents and referrals and consistently do it across all schools, we're going to be back to where we were years ago, where we aren't really sure how many times things happen. If we don't really know how many times things happen, we're not really going to be able to respond appropriately. There's also a need to continue to the discussions about progressive discipline. Progressive discipline is part of the policy that's JIC-R, Students' Code of Conduct. And the progressive discipline is important because how you work with a child in kindergarten and first grade is going to be different than third and fourth grade. It's going to be different than fifth and sixth grade and seventh and eighth grade. And so also the way you discipline is going to be different as they grow older. So progressive discipline has to be looked at amongst students and talked about with school administrators, and people have to have an understanding. Also calibrating the people at all levels of the district to understand how behaviors are defined, the intensity and frequency and duration of these behaviors are important and helps us with interventions with students. So calibrating is important, progressive discipline understanding, and then making sure that we have some kind of collective system that we're using. Right now we're using Power School MBA plugin, which can chart behaviors individually for students, but also as a whole school. So there's a lot of times I'll go in and look at a whole school, and then I'm checking individual behaviors, like going in and looking at their name-calling incidents, or going in and looking at their physical aggression incidents, and you can go into them individually and look at them. And it's powerful information to be able to look at that and then see if there are any repeat students, and then how can we intervene with those students. So I have to say, as a principal by myself, I could do that by myself in a school, but I really think it's important to be looking across the district, because these students are moving school to school, and also consistently having the same approach school to school is important. And your 4 elementary schools is going to be important. How can we calibrate the 4 elementary schools' approaches as well? Not that they have to be identical, it's just they should be systematic. So the only other thing I wanted to mention, well, I actually wanted to see if you had any questions or comments.
I do. Thanks, Kim. This is great. It's kind of a two-part, so some for you, some for Austin, but I get the sense that having Kim in this newly created position allows the district to be a little more proactive in seeking out and understanding maybe some patterns and some instances that could potentially become bullying cases that Kim and team are able to maybe head off. And you use the word intervention a few times. So I'm looking at the numbers, 49 total last year, 9 this year, essentially a third of the year. So if we just go basic math, I'm not as good as the Grinnell kids there, but 27. And listen, the year is still early, right? But that's a pretty significant decline, right? When the 22-23, we're at 51, 23-24, 49, not so much, one or, it's 2, right? This, and I hate to say on track, because that's not really the right terminology, but we are, I guess, on course to be should be close to half, or, even a 30 or 40% reduction. I think that speaks volumes to this position, and thankfully we had the grant, but when we start to think long-term, right, this to me is a position that makes sense in this day and age, right? Because all too often we are reactive and not proactive with these things. And by having this system in place and Kim looking for these things and working with building administrators and the SAU team to really understand the patterns and what's happening is huge. And I think the numbers, just where we are now, basic, high level stuff, it's having an impact and a positive impact, right? And to me, it's encouraging. So thank you. But when we look at the numbers, this position makes sense to me. And I know, there was some questions around it, some of the new administrative positions and things like that, but this is proof, the proof is in the pudding that this is working, at least how it stands now, so.
I will, of course, I agree with you, but the
I
one
would
thing
hope so,
that
yeah.
we won't be able to look at until the end of next year is things like name calling or the derogatory comments, and those are the things that West Running Brook and Gilbert H. Middle School sent that letter out. And there are lots of kids that are saying things that are derogatory in nature, and that is not good stuff. So that's kind of where this came from, is like, let's look at that, because those are kind of lead-in behaviors to possible bullying situations. So what we can't compare, that's what I'd like to be able to compare. I'd like to be able to compare smaller behaviors like that versus the bullying behaviors. Bullying behaviors are big behaviors. The state asks us to report them, and we do need to report them. They're terrible, and we need to make sure they're lower. But sometimes where the proof is more in the pudding is if you're looking at the number of kids who are name calling and what are those names? Because we can look at that if people are recording incidents. We can look at that if people are recording things like inappropriate comments or gestures towards others. Like, that stuff gets written down. So those you can kind of look at per school and say, 10 at this school and 20 at this school and 5 at this school, and you can start to, especially if they're all elementary schools, because they're all in the same developmental range, right? They're the same developmental state. Then you look at what's going on at West, and you look at what's going on at Hood, because those are different developmental stages. So kids act differently at those different stages. And what's said is different at those stages. So it's more alarming at the elementary level, less alarming at the 8th grade level, although we don't like it at any level. So that's a better analysis to see, is it working? And I'd like to say, yes, I'm hoping it is, knock on some wood, that it's all gonna minimize it all. But just standardizing getting people to use the MBA power login is very powerful. That's good information for us.
Yeah, and it takes time to put together all the instances, right? So it's not gonna happen overnight in 1 year, but if you can start to see it decrease a bit and then start to build some of these behaviors where things are logged, and then year over year, we're able to review and kind of match up and analyze 1 year versus the next. It's helpful.
It's very helpful.
Yeah, if I would echo what you had said, Jason, about this. This is not a short-term problem, and nor do we need a short-term solution. I think Kim, last time she spoke, she talked a lot about the intersection between our CARES program and the work that she does, because it's everybody's responsibility to teach and model and reinforce and redirect and respond to students when they act out. And just as Kim said, a lot of these are young people who are still figuring stuff out. So it's our responsibility as the adults in the room to set the tone and really demonstrate how to be kind, compassionate, patient, understanding, how to forgive each other when we screw up, things like that. So I do think, and we did get a grant for Kim's position this year. We cut an administrative position out of our budget, and we wrote a Title IV grant. Kim was a big part of that. She has several milestones or goals and objectives in that grant, which are about establishing a long-term programmatic, systematic approach to behavior management. Another thing that Kim has done, and she's about to make a pitch for it, is created these success centers, right? So in each of our 6 schools, we now have success centers, although we're still looking for some personnel. So that's, I think, part of her pitch. That funding, prior to Kim coming on, we had 2 positions, one at each of the middle schools, and we had nobody at the elementary schools that were doing that was doing this. Kim developed the program, has created some clear systematic expectations for these people, and we've reallocated funds in our budget for these positions. So we have in our budget 6 positions, 1 at each building. You're going to remind me, do we have 5 people currently hired? We have 1 opening?
Yes, I'd like Cliff to change the slide.
Okay, Cliff's going to change that slide on the DL, but, oh, there you go. So, but just this speaks back to your point, Jason, is that the goal is that this doesn't end when this grant ends. So we're already talking about next year. Kim and I will try to kidnap Kim and keep her in our fold in whatever way I can, because I trust her judgment and I know that she sees the big picture. But this is an investment that we've made in the district budget as well by moving around some paraprofessional assistant positions from one area and putting them into this Student Success Center piece. So I'll let Kim make her pitch. Sorry, I might have stole your thunder.
So my pitch is that I need one more person to fill our team up, and I gave my pitch the last time, but I didn't have a cute little slide. Now I have a cute little slide that says, hey, join our team. One more person to join our team so that we are one complete team, and I do not think the person would be I think the person would love the job because it's a super exciting, it's not a scary job, it's super exciting. You're a detective, you're helping out. Who could ask for anything better?
It's a 6.5-hour a days job working. Right now we're looking for an elementary school person. Yeah. And you know, Kim has been instrumental in hiring these new people, and we've got some really awesome people that we brought into our district from outside. We also have some really great people that were already doing this job. You know, I don't want to use names, but some really talented people that Kim is training. So if you're somebody out there who says, I've never really worked with student behavior, I don't have a ton of experience, as I'm not a certified behavior specialist like Kim is, what would you say to those people, Kim?
You don't have to be. I think as long as you can build relationship with students and you can learn how to set, or you have a good sense of setting limits with students, you're going to be fine, because the training can happen. And all the people that we've added, plus the people that we've had in the past at all the schools, are amazing. They are all super talented. Like, we are lucky, super lucky. Like, I'm shocked at how lucky we are for our hiring so far. So now we just need one more lucky person to come on board and join us to make it a full team. All of them are very skilled, and none of them have done the job before except for one, and that's Jay Long from West Running Brook, and he's very skilled. Everybody else was brand new, and they're all great hires and very skilled at what they do, and they know what they're doing. So apply, somebody.
I just want to pick up quick on what Jason was saying. And Kim, I think the last time you were here, I emphasized this again, the word consistency. She's working tremendously hard. We've got 4 elementary schools that are feeding west and trying to get the consistency there. One of the things we've done a great deal with over the years is getting teachers working together, which is so beneficial. And we know that the teachers enjoy that and like that collaboration. What our curriculum department is doing now is working with teachers remotely so that they can be together all 4 elementary schools with grade 4, for instance. And I think that's the next step in this process of helping with the consistency. And Kim's doing that with working with all of our schools and being at our leadership meetings and working with training for our principals, for our assistant principals, who bring that back to their schools. She's doing it in the schools. She's working with them. She's working with teachers, as well as the work she does with students and so forth. So that whole consistency piece is what we're striving for, and this is an area that she's doing a great job with. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Next on the agenda. So earlier tonight, the board met in a non-meeting to discuss the details of the union and contract agreement. So right now, in public, we will vote on that agreement, and I know Michael wanted to say some words at the end before we move on. So at this point in time, I would take a motion to accept the union contract.
So moved. Second.
First by Jonathan, second by Jason. Roll call vote, we got Jason.
Yes.
Jen. Jonathan.
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. 5-0. So Michael, I know you wanted to say a few words tonight, so go ahead, you're up.
Yeah, again, I apologize I can't be there in person tonight. And of course, the first time ever I can't be at a meeting. Grinnell is there, Mrs. Maloro, my son's all-time favorite is there, and we're taking a major vote. So first off, I wanted to thank our counterparts, the negotiating team from the Derry Education Association. You know, this is their livelihood that we're talking about, and I think I speak for all of us on the board when I say how much we respect their profession and all the great things our teachers are doing in all of our schools every day. We all want to see that Derry's teachers are being fairly compensated for their work. The union had a number of concerns from the outset of this process. Healthcare costs have increased like we've never seen during this past agreement. The top 2 health plans are being retired. The cost of living in this area continues to go up, and the past increases have not kept up with that. From our perspective as a district, you know, we're trying to keep up as best we can with the neighboring districts who have more resources than we do when it comes to competing for staff. I think it's the feeling of the board that this agreement will go far towards answering those concerns. This agreement is going to be larger. It's going to be more money than I think the community is used to seeing in a teacher contract. You know, we're looking at 3.5 to 4% increases, where the last agreement was 2 to 2.2. But part of this is making up for savings realized by the retirement of those top 2 health plans. We retired the attendance bonus. So we're really going to need to communicate to the community the need to get this passed, along with a number of other important things that we're going to have on the ballot in March. And we look forward to having the support of the DEA and getting it over the finish line.
Thank you, Michael. I just want to reiterate the hard work that was put in on both sides for an extended period of time, with the final session lasting like 12 hours. So I appreciate everything that everyone's done to get over the finish line, and I think this is something that we can be proud of, and hopefully gets voted in March, and we continue our relationship moving forward, and work to increase the achievement of our students in this district, as well as our facilities and everything else that needs to get done in these days. So thank you again, everyone, especially the people involved in the nitty-gritty of the negotiations. It's much appreciated. All right. Any other board comments? All good? All right. Thanks, Deb. Austin, you're up.
Okay, I too want to thank and congratulate the DEA leadership, the school board reps, as well as the rest of the school board, and the administrators who worked on the teacher's contract. It was an extremely collaborative effort, and concessions made on both sides. And I do believe, I want to thank the teachers for ratifying and the school voting this in, and we can now move this forward to the voters in March. And this will help our teachers, it will help our recruitment, it will help our retention, and I'd like to think that this is going to be good for the district moving forward for these next 3 years. I also hope everyone enjoyed the 5-day-long Thanksgiving holiday, a little less than a couple of weeks ago. Hopefully you were able to spend some quality downtime with your family and friends, got a chance to catch up on some well-needed rest and relaxation. Thanksgiving has definitely become my favorite holiday of the year, although I am still looking forward to Christmas and the start of the 25 new year. Speaking of Christmas, later this week I will begin my school visits dressed as the conductor from the movie Polar Express. This was begun at Barker Elementary School by former Derry Superintendent Dr. John Moody. God rest his soul. He would read the story to first graders, complete with hot cocoa and giving a Christmas bell. I am proud and humble to have inherited this from him, thanks to his wife Judy Moody, who gifted me with the conductor's hat and the props. I can't wait to see everyone prior to the holiday break. Back to Thanksgiving and Christmas. The Saturday of the Thanksgiving break was the Derry Holiday Parade, which of course ends with Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus on the fire truck. I want to thank the wonderful community members watching the parade for their enthusiasm and for their great generosity with monetary and food donations, which were collected by the Derry Village Rotary for the Derry Food Pantry. We raised over $2,000 and collected more than 20 boxes of food items. Also, a great big thank you to Shaw's Supermarket for donating 6 shopping carriages used to collect the food. And this year we didn't have to take the old ones with the wiggly wheels. We had these brand new, I don't know, Lexuses or something. They were just sharp. Gilbert H. Hood Middle School was the only middle school band, and Alvin over in Hudson was the only high school band because, as Anthony mentioned earlier, both Londonderry and Pinkerton bands were at the finals of, we can call it the Super Bowl, of the fall football season. And I want to congratulate Coach Riley, Coach Murphy, and all of the rest of the coaches, and especially our student athletes who won the game and took home the state football championship. The last Fiscal Advisory Committee School Board budget meeting is next Tuesday. That will be at West Runningbrook, and then the school board will be moving the district budget forward. The time for community members to give input is at the public hearing, which will be at our next school board meeting on Tuesday, January 14th at 6 p.m. Right here. School board representatives and SEU administrators will be at each school's PTA meeting in January. Thank you to South Range Elementary School PTA for their willingness to change the meeting date so there would not be 2 PTA meetings on the same night. The schedule of those PTA meetings are as follows. Thursday, January 2nd, 7 p.m., Ernest P. Barker. Monday, January 6th, 6:30 p.m., East Derry Memorial. Tuesday, January 7th, 6 p.m., West Runningbrook Intermediate School, Wednesday, January 8th, 6:30 p.m., Gilbert H. Hood Middle School and the Derry Early Education Program. Thursday, January 9th, 6:30 p.m., South Range School, and Monday, January 13th, 6 p.m., Grinnell Elementary School. Get some rest over the Christmas break because it looks like we'll be having a number of late nights for the first week we get back here, but it's going to be well worth it. We love talking to the PTAs. We thank the PTAs for those invites, and we usually get lots of questions, and we can give out and get answers and give out information. Recently, McKinney-Vento homeless liaison Cynthia Tebow was awarded 2 different grants to support homeless families here in Derry. The New Hampshire Commercial Investment Board of Realtors awarded $1,000, so thank you to their board of directors for this grant. I also want to thank Kimberly Reagan, director of Varani Realty Commercial Division, who awarded our McKinney-Vento program with a check worth $500. And as always, I want to thank Cynthia for her outstanding work ethic and dedication to the homeless community here in Derry. Finally, since this is the last, it's not true anymore. We all know we have a short school board meeting prior to the budget meeting next Tuesday. But there won't be a lot of talk at that, and I definitely won't be giving a superintendent report. So I want to wish everyone happy holidays, a Merry New Year, and I will see everybody in 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, Austin. Next, we have FYIs. We have the enrollment report, and the question was asked, are we down students? If I'm reading this correctly, we're down 196. Am I reading it right? December, this year to last? Want to make sure I get all the questions answered.
So I'm going to pull that back up. I think the individual said in the last 3 months, we've lost 120 students, is what I heard, which I was struggling to find where that information came from.
That's not, yeah, that's inaccurate.
It is inaccurate.
So 196 is a comparison this time last year. So that's the number. Thanks. Next, we have committees. So quick update on the superintendent search committee. Jonathan, Brenda, and I, we met with Scott, and we got Jonathan put together a letter that we sent out through social media, email distribution, and to all the relative parties, and we actually gave it to Dave Karen, town administrator. He sent it out to his contact list early this week. So really, for anyone who's interested in joining our superintendent search committee, just give you kind of a couple highlights for the commitment levels that are involved in this endeavor. So a few bullet points. We got provide timely feedback to G&D associates throughout the process. It involves in participating in interview process training, approximately 3 hours in January. Participate in the interview process, approximately 2 days in late January, early February. Provide objective evaluation of the superintendent finalists, and then obviously when the decision is made by the school board, we welcome that superintendent once selected. People who are interested, you can reach out to us at the school, Jonathan, myself, or Brenda. We can get you a copy of that letter with the link that allows you to sign up if you haven't seen it online. And submissions are due by December 18th. So this has been active since last Thursday, I believe. So you got another 8 days, and then we'll notify the participants by the 23rd before the holidays. If you have any questions and want to get more information, obviously reach out to myself, Jonathan, or Brenda. We'll be more than happy to set up a call or discuss through email, whatever's convenient. We do. I think at this point we had estimated about 16 people in the committee, including the 3 school board members. So really 13 people. I forgot to bring the list, but the public portion of it is, I think it's two parents of students in the district, and then 2 individuals that don't have children in the district is the recommended number. These are all recommended estimates. We can look at it as the submissions come through, and then the rest is the administration, teachers, paraprofessionals, principals, and that stuff. I mean, Michelle Carmoni already put her name in as well. So like I said, any questions, concerns, this is our next step in the process. And I guess we're starting to see resumes come through. So we'll be going through that in the upcoming weeks, and once we finalize this committee. So anyone interested, feel free to sign up. Any questions from you guys? No? All right. Other business. So I'd like to make one comment. I'll address what was said during delegations from my own personal perspective. I think as a school board member, I've been pretty consistent on giving people my thoughts and opinions on items. I'm sorry if that disturbed individual. That's just who I am. That's how I've always been. I give my opinion on things, and people do the same back to me and us. I don't see any problem with that, so I apologize if that was a problem for that individual. That's all I got to say on that.
I don't have other business, but I do have a manifest
my
committee,
bad.
and that's okay. So I'd like to approve the manifest for a grand total of $2,129,903.25. Of that, general payroll consists of $1,215,042.91, and general expense of $914,860.34.
Second.
All right, we got a first by Jonathan, second by Jason. Michael.
Yes.
Michael, excuse me. So I'll say it again. First by Jonathan, second by Jason. And Michael says yay. Jason?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion passes 5-0. Any other committee updates at this point? I don't think we've had too many committee meetings. I know you guys got a curriculum next Friday? This Friday, excuse me? Okay. All right. Is anything else, everyone have anything else they want to discuss? No? All right. I get a motion to adjourn, first by Jonathan. Second by Jen. Michael?
Yes.
All right, Jason?
Yes.
Jen? Jonathan?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Motion passes 5-0. Did I have you say it twice? Sorry. All right, have a great night, everyone. Thank you very much.